Okay, good evening, everyone. Being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council Urban Renewal Board joint work session. This is a meeting that we'll have just as a work session. There'll be no action taken. So anyway, the first item on the agenda is public comments. Oh, I want to mention Councilor Cribbins is online virtually, and so is Councilor Matthews. So public comments, the public comment period is intended for the public to share ideas and concerns. It is not intended for any interactive discussion with the council. There may be opportunities for the public comments during specific agenda items that require a public hearing. Members of the public are requested to confine their remarks to questions or issues under discussion during this time. During any designated comment period, individuals shall not engage in any personal attacks, shall not impugn the motives of any speaker, and shall at all times, while in session, conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. No person shall make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or unauthorized remarks or become boisterous while addressing the council. It's a shame we have to read that. But anyway, that being the case, are there any public comments? I do have Eric that wants to come forward on a fence regulation or ruling. Is Eric here? Eric and Sue Lee. Okay. Okay, so you'll have 3 minutes, and our city attorney's our timer, and so just give.
Okay, thank you.
If you go ahead and give us your name and what city you reside in, please.
My name is Sue Lee, and we reside in Coos Bay. Do you need the address or? No. Okay. So what happened was in 2019, we bought a home and 3 other lots adjoining it with the idea of putting in a B&B and developing a tiny home park. We went in today and we just found out, oh, we never were told there's a fence regulation on our side of the road, Empire Boulevard, only. They're saying that we cannot put a 5-foot fence like we need to keep our dogs from jumping out. I have one who chases cars and would not stay in a 4-foot fence. So what we've brought for your comparison, the first page is the regulations, and then the first picture shows where the 4-foot fence, which is what is legal, would be. And what we are asking for is if you could go to the highest visibility fencing that's allowed in all of Coos Bay, so it would be the most restrictive, would be a 3-foot fence, and you can see the difference in the view using a 3-foot fence with wire on top of it. In the last picture is another property that we own. We had to deal with that regulations, 3-foot high and then wire above it. And you can see the visibility through both fences, and a block away you can see the bay. So what we're trying to do is get this regulation changed. We went and talked to them today. Today's the day we found out, so we don't have a whole lot of preparation time here. But they said you could either strike the part about the fencing. We're perfectly willing to go with the next level of fencing, 3-foot high with wire above it. In the time that we have lived there, someone smashed our window, stole a telescope, stole a surveillance camera, stole a second surveillance camera, recently stole 2 tents and a cell phone, and we've had to trespass people multiple times, at least 3 times, on the lot below us. They cut through our property and go down to the beach. That's the reason why we would like to put a fence. Yeah, security. And will not contain our dogs when we'd like to live there. Do you have any questions?
No, this
This could be a land use issue brought to the council, so I would suggest not engaging at this point in time.
Right, so this is, yeah, this is just a
Oh.
public comment period, taking comments. And so staff can be in contact with you how this can proceed, so.
Okay, because they're the ones that told us to come here today.
They did?
Yeah. And they said that also on the docket, you had another, something dealing with this same, not the fencing regulation, but this portion of the regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Nicole?
Thank you. I do understand that they were here at the front counter this afternoon, and staff came and asked about that. I did, an offer to present any time during
Sure.
public comments. This section is within the nuisance code section, which you guys are potentially going to be looking at. So,
Yeah, so to be clear, that, anyone is available to come to the council with any kind of comment anytime. So we're always going to be open for that. But there's certain regulations and restrictions and rules that we need to follow. And as our city attorney mentioned, this could potentially be a land use situation, which includes the planning commission and some other things, and Chelsea is involved in that. So we got to make sure that we proceed correctly. So our staff will be in contact with you. All right? You bet. All right, next item, or next public comments from Rosemary Johnson, but we are going to have a specific, I think that's for the Oregon Heritage All-Star Community designation, am I correct? That's correct. So you have a specific item for that, so an agenda item. Is there anyone else that would like to speak, have a public comment this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. And the first item on the agenda is presentation by the Oregon Heritage All-Star Community Designation. Chelsea, you want to make a few comments?
Yeah, just briefly. Thank you, Rosemary, for being here. You are the chair of the Oregon Heritage Commission.
That's correct.
Correct, yeah. Back in April, I believe, the commission held a meeting to consider the city's application for the Heritage All-Star designation. That application was not possible but for all the people in this room. There were so many individuals and organizations and entities that put lots of effort into making that application a sufficient, satisfactory, successful application. And so we're excited. The city had to at least meet 15 of the 24 criteria. There was a whole slew of criteria, and they were able to do it because of all the people in this room. So thank you. And Rosemary is here tonight to officially, formally acknowledge that designation in front of the council.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, City Council, staff, and members of the community. It's my honor as chairman of the Oregon Heritage Commission to be here this evening and formally award the City of Coos Bay the designation of an Oregon Heritage All-Star Community. Few Oregon communities have obtained this designation, which represents the highest form of recognition that a city can receive from the state for its efforts to preserve, develop, and leverage its heritage resources. The Heritage Commission's primary purpose in designating Heritage All-Star Community is to help those communities make the most of their heritage resources. By making the most of these resources, communities safeguard important elements of the past, advance both quality of life and economic objectives, and enhance their unique character. As it was noted, a community must meet and maintain 15 of 24 criteria to qualify for the designation. The 24 criteria for this designation reflect diverse heritage resources and practices that support the goals of the Oregon Heritage Plan. Coos Bay met 17 of the 24 criteria. And I'd like to review just a few of the notable accomplishments of this community related to heritage. And many of these I don't think everyone knows. The City of Coos Bay has a heritage preservation program and has achieved certified local government status through the State Historic Preservation Office and maintains a historic sites register. The Coos History Museum is regularly open to the public and strives to work towards best practices in preservation of cultural materials related to the history of the community, in addition to maintaining a public archive. The community and its heritage organizations have obtained and successfully completed several grants for heritage-related projects, including the Marshall Cemetery, the Tioga Hotel sign, the Egyptian Theater, the Buggy Bank Building, and the Buckingham Map Collection. School programs engage students in local history, such as the 4th grade Indian Education Program, in partnership with the Coquille Indian Tribe, Confederate Tribes of the Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siskiyou Indians, and Coos History Museum, cultural awareness through the cemetery program, and the arts and history in the classroom program. The Coos Bay Downtown Association is an active Main Street program that is part of the Oregon Main Street Network. The Marshall Cemetery is a designated historic cemetery. Several heritage tourism-related partnerships and projects, such as the Coos Bay North Bend Charleston Visitor and Convention Bureau, Travel Information Council Beaver Boards, Prefontaine Plaques, Marshall Field Cemetery Interpretive Panel, Downtown Economic Vitality Study, Sawmill and Tribal Trail, in addition to several events that recognize an aspect of the community's cultural. I overheard Cricket saying this week while we were here that she met many of the tourism contacts in the community that she had not worked with before, and that through this program, they have formed new partnerships, which is part of what this is about. And I was able, with my extended visit here this week, to visit many of these sites that I just mentioned. And in the past, all I did was pass through Coos Bay on a rush to California. So I was thrilled to be able to see many of these sites. Award recognition, including several Oregon Heritage Excellence Awards for individuals in this community going above and beyond to preserve and share Oregon's heritage, several of which the Commission was fortunate to meet on Sunday during our tours here. Tribal consultation in heritage-related projects such as the Boardwalk Sign Project and the 4th grade Indian Education Program. These are just a few of the notable achievements, as there's a long list of additional heritage achievements that time does not allow for me to list here this evening. But it's incredible and impressive and supports the designation of this community. Coos Bay joins a distinguished list of Heritage All-Star communities that includes Albany, Astoria, Bend, Cottage Grove, Oregon City, Roseburg, and Salem. Only 8 communities in the entire state. In fact, the last time a community was designated as a Heritage All-Star community was the last time that the Commission met here in Coos Bay during the 2015 Oregon Heritage Conference, and it was the city of Astoria that was designated. So this makes it even more special for me to be here this morning, or this evening, to present this designation to the city of Coos Bay, as I come from Astoria. I live there. I can tell you firsthand the impact this designation has and how it's helped the community strive to embrace its heritage and preserve its unique character to help improve the quality of life for residents and visitors. As an Astorian, I am thrilled to have the Heritage All-Star designation for our community, but I was the city planner and historic preservation officer. So I was the one who spearheaded the nomination. And I can tell you it's no easy task to prepare. Not only do you have to come up with all of the information to support this, but it's not just one person. It's that partnership and involvement by the entire community and making sure that you are all working together. So I commend the community for the hard work they put into this nomination. And as a heritage community, it comes with responsibility. You have to maintain these standards, and that keeps you on your toes and making sure that you are following the regulations and the intent of the heritage community. It also comes with privileges. Travel Oregon will be noting you in their magazines and on their website, and there will be other benefits which State Historic Preservation Office will work with you on. With the city celebrating its 150th anniversary, I hope that this designation and the support offered by the Oregon Heritage Commission will help the city and local heritage organizations and efforts continue to work together and communicate to move forward their heritage preservation efforts into the future. With that said, and in support of all the work that Coos Bay has done, and no doubt will continue to do, to embrace, preserve, and share the city's historic resources, on behalf of the Oregon Heritage Commission, I am pleased to formally present to you the certificate officially designating Coos Bay as the Oregon Heritage All-Star Community. Okay, and I don't know if anybody can take pictures. And for the mayor, may I present this to you?
Yes. Let me come down. Thank you.
Thank you for doing all this work.
Thank you. It's an honor to receive this award. I guess if I'm trying to say it correctly, we're the 8th city in the state of Oregon. I want to thank all the ones that were involved. As you said, this is a community effort, and we're lucky to have the partnerships that we do. We're fortunate here, and I'm so pleased that we're able to have this award. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here.
And you're very deserving. It's a beautiful community. I had a wonderful time today. Every one of your citizens has been so gracious and opened up museums when they were closed, the art museum today, and others who have taken us around on things. You have a wonderful community.
You don't have to convince me.
Thank you.
Mayor Benetti, may I make a remark? Rosemary, I just wanted to thank you specifically. I think I was sharing with you that my late husband was the vice chair of the Oregon Heritage Commission, and with Steve Greif and I think MJ were winners, recipients, forgive me, of the Oregon Heritage Commission Award. He would be so incredibly proud of the work that was done. And I have to say, sorry, I didn't think I'd get emotional. He drugged me in 2010 to a Oregon Heritage Commission conference in your beautiful town of Astoria. And it is why I sit here today. I went to that conference in Astoria and saw all the economic revitalization, and it inspired me. And we actually had Brett Estes, at the time one of your planners, come down and meet members of Coos Bay in North Bend. And fast forward, I don't know, 15 years later, 2016, I got on this commission, on this council to do the work that really inspired me in Astoria. So I thank you for all of your efforts as a planner. And I really want to thank everyone in this room, because you're the ones who have done the heavy lifting to make this possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Why don't you hand it to Lucinda or Nicole? Yeah, that'd be great. All right. So council, the next item on for us this evening is to review the upcoming city council and URA board actions. And underneath that is discussion regarding 2025-2026 legislative priorities, ballot, and League of Oregon Cities. Nicole, you want to explain this for us, please?
Yes, I would be happy to, although following that this is a tough gig. So every 2 years, the LOC puts together a package such as this. It is following many months of policy committee work that they kind of split out. There are representatives from every city that sit on those policy committees, in which to pull together some recommended items that they would then support in the upcoming legislative session. So what's before you is that work. There are several members from the city of Coos Bay that sat on those policy committees. We have the opportunity as a city to put forth our top 5. We're bringing this forward today in a work session, so you have the opportunity to review and discuss that. This will come back to you at your August 6th meeting for your final top 5 decision. So I'd open that up for discussion.
So I just want to thank everyone who participated. I got a call from the LLC, from Patty, and she said that there was no representation on the South Coast, and the director, and suggested that maybe we would want to step up and participate. So I talked to Nicole, and I also applied, and so did, well, you can see, who else was there? Christine, and someone from Water Board, and Jennifer. So it was really a lot of work for them, and I can tell you it was a lot of work. And it was, but I think it is something that we can give some direction to the LLC on how to proceed with the legislature. There's one thing in here that I do want to bring up that's close to my heart, and TLT. And so there's something that the LLC constantly wants to change the way it is, and it's something that I've always pushed back on, and sometimes I'm the only one, but it's all right. I believe in it, and I think it's great the way it is. So it was in my committee to begin with, which was the Community and Economic Development Committee. Again, I pushed back from us addressing that, and so the chair finally said, why don't we just, we'll move this to another committee and we'll discuss it. Well, I found out it went to the Economic Finance and Taxation Committee, and I asked Nicole today about it, and she said, well, they didn't meet their last two meetings, and so it slid in here. It's in here. I don't know how we come out strongly and oppose it. I would hope that this council does, but I'm one of 7. So anyway, that's my little pitch for this, but there's other things in here that I think are very important. Yes.
Mayor Benetti, I'm glad you brought it up. It's page 30. I noted it as well. I have real concerns about increasing the flexibility on the use of TLT dollars. We know in Coos County, tourism this last year generated $330 million in visitor spending, and in Coos Bay, North Bend, and Charleston, it was about $148 million. And so I have real concerns of this grab for dollars. So I hope that we will come out with a letter not in support of this flexibility in the lodging tax.
But there's some good things in here, and so we have to choose 5. Am I correct, Nicole? Out of all that's before us?
Yes, we have to select our top 5.
Okay.
Although I would suggest we could, also state we are not in support of specific items.
Okay. So how do you want to go about this? You want us just to review this, or you want some recommendations now, or how do you want to move forward?
I mean, I guess I would take it however you think makes best sense. I'm not sure, it's a large document. I did send it out when we received it, so you had time to look through that. We do have a little bit of time. We do have some, obviously staff has some suggestions. So do you want to just chat about it globally? What is our goals? And then we line them up? Or?
Yeah, I think it's totally up to the council. I think that definitely we can have some discussion about it tonight, but there's quite a bit of things in here. I'm familiar with my portion. I haven't had a real chance to look at the other ones, and I'm not sure how the rest of you have or not. It is something that I think we can look at and make sure that we get this. So we won't have a meeting before the September 5th, right? From August 6th to then, there's going to be nothing in between.
Well, this is the deadline, September 27th, if I've read that correctly.
I said the deadline for submitting your city's vote is 5 p.m. on September 27th. Oh, yeah, September 27th.
Yeah,
So we'll have a
we've got
meeting
a
in
bit of
September.
time.
So
And
if you want, we can postpone it
could
to a
delay.
meeting in September and come up with the recommendation. But we can surely have the discussion tonight if there's anything pertinent or important to anyone that they would like to highlight for us to consider. So.
I was able to look at it before the meeting, and I think there's some really interesting things in here around infrastructure related to safe streets. Page 36, community safety and neighborhood livability. And then also page 35, the transportation package speaks to many things that Mike has brought to the council, and I know some things that the Parks Board is looking at. We see some things around safe routes to schools, and of course, we've got our Livability Committee where we have been talking about some of these things related to safety for pedestrians and streets. So I thought those two were interesting.
Okay. Anyone else anyone want to highlight at this time?
Mayor Benetti, haven't we had in the past, the staff has come with recommendations too? So maybe before we make a decision as a council, I know we're talking about waiting until September, but maybe getting staff recommendations as well and then including that in the discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, some of these recommendations in here will be more important and beneficial to us and our size than other cities that are larger, even smaller. So they'll be more directed to us. So maybe there's some input. I know that staff can give us some input.
Envision we might bring this back in, well, we're not having another work session, so.
I think if you can make a recommendation, maybe, we're going to have 2 meetings in September.
Let's look. We didn't touch any of the schedule for September.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to have a meeting on September 10th and 24th, right?
Yes.
So do you want?
Well, September 3rd and 17th, 24th would be a work
You're right,
session.
I'm off days here. Okay, 3rd and 17th. So if the council wants, we can have the staff come back on the 3rd. The 6th is pretty close with some recommendations, and then it gives us some time to still have another discussion about it then, and then also on the 17th.
Okay, perfect. And I guess.
And then the work session's on the 24th.
Yeah, you just won't be able to take action at that point,
Right.
so if you're giving
Okay.
me a formal
Okay.
response.
So we'll intend to have it, to come up with finalizing this on the 23rd then.
And so then I would just ask if there are any that you're uncertain about what the maybe intention is with that, to reach out, and we can make sure if one of us doesn't have some feedback on that, because we did have someone touching each of the policy committees, we can connect with LOC to get some response.
All right, is everyone in agreement with that? Troy, Carmen, everyone? All right?
Yep, I'm in agreement. I'm also not seeing the attachment I think you guys are referencing. The only one that I see is a shorter guide. It's only 18 pages.
Yes.
Carmen, sorry, when I was giving the numbers, I was using the packet, not the individual attachment. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
I was.
Okay, I was wondering if we were looking at something different.
Yeah, I understand, I agree. All right, so if everyone's in agreement with that, then we're at the point of, is there anything else that this council would like to have before us? I mean, this is a work session, these are the 2 items that we had before us, but that's where we're at.
Did we all want to give what the 5 we were looking at were?
Sure, if you want now, absolutely.
Okay. So I went with the behavioral health enhancements. I know from talking to the CEO of the hospital here that the state hospital has about 700 mental health beds, and they're short, they estimate 3,000. So we still need to keep pushing on them a lot. Addressing affordable energy, because that's one of the factors that when we look at assistance for folks, energy can be a harder one to deal with sometimes. And in talking to some folks recently, I was learning that our energy system out on the coast isn't the best as far as capacity and reliability. So I think peripheral to it, if the legislature invests in upgrades to the energy system, we'll also get new infrastructure that's more reliable. So kind of a peripheral benefit there. There was a marijuana tax item. I think they noted in there that we lost 75-ish% of our marijuana tax revenue after 110 passed, and that was something large we were using for scent, so that messed us up a little bit, so reform there would be helpful. There was an infrastructure funding aspect, actually in two places. I went with the one under water and wastewater, because that it helps with the infrastructure. Again, as far as, I remember a while back, we were talking about how we were replacing pipes with ones that were about 3 times as long to reduce the I&I, and it helps the plant health and increases capacity without big modifications to the plant, so I figure that was a good spot. And then ripping the Band-Aid off, I also had the lodging tax aspect. It's one of the few opportunities for discretionary revenue we have outside of property taxes, so I did have that one. Folks might notice I didn't include the shelter and homeless response. That's because I don't think the legislature needs any help investing in that, so I went with other priorities that I think they might neglect.
So a question on the marijuana tax. If I understand correctly, I don't know if you were here, but I know Sarah was. We had their joint meeting, and Senator Brock Smith had stated that these committees that were like Barry First Step and AYA and some others were getting funding from that. But just because Metro 110 was changed, that doesn't mean that the funding, I guess what I'm trying to say is if we take that funding away, then it could impact these other facilities, if we try to change that marijuana tax. I agree, what we signed up for and what we were getting is different than, if I had my way, and I think we could, I'd like to do away with this within our city, but that's not the case. But if we start asking for that to be changed, I'm concerned that some of these entities could be impacted that are really a benefit to this community. That's my only concern.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, it took them 2 years before they started getting any money to our community out of this fund.
Okay.
They reallocated it a little differently, and one of the problems I saw with it at the start, and probably my core complaint with it, was they put a lot of money into an outreach system for recovery services when there was no recovery system. And I wouldn't think, and Scott might know better than me, if we, it might be outside youth, but as far as recovery and sobering centers throughout the state, if we even have capacity right now yet.
So it's Steve, the very first step, tell you, Bill, we're ramping things up slowly. So
Yeah.
they're still ramping up. They rolled out the carrot from the horse.
Well, in BAFs, I mean, they're sober living and they have a recovery aspect, but I'm thinking like the hardcore in shelter, like you're getting clean unpleasantly. I think ADAPT runs more of those.
So I just think that these are some of the things that we need to think about in these aspects. And so I think it's a good point that, that Drew brought this up, but I also think that it's important that we think about the repercussions, especially since the information I got from that meeting, and it was stated if Measure 110 changed, that the funding part was not attached to that. So that was critical for me to say, okay, I support that, but I knew the funding was still going to be in place. So
Yeah, it's complicated.
yeah. All right, anyone else want to address any of these items at this time? All right. Well, hearing none, unless there's anything else that was before this work session by anyone, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.